Hi, Andy here again, and this is my monthly roundup of new or newish releases that I've acquired in the previous month. So here I'm looking at stuff I got in May. There's a few items which actually I ordered during April, and they finally arrived in May. So I'll cover those briefly at the end. Some sort of record store day stuff even. So I'm a bit into June doing this, but I've been away for a few days. To San Sebastian in northern Spain, where I went with my daughter. We're both into food, and it's a bit of a mecca for foodies, and absolutely amazing. And I did happen across a record store while I was there as well, and had a quick look in. Now I got luggage restrictions. I'm not paid for hold luggage, so I wasn't able to buy anything to carry back anyway. And but it was quite an interesting store. Loads of Latin American stuff, some good jazz as well. Prices were a bit high, but I was quite pleased just to happen across one. Anyway, let's get on with the record. So I've got 7 I'm going to mention. A couple of them towards the end are reissues, so I won't dwell on them. And I'm starting off with an album I've really enjoyed. Really, I wouldn't say it's my favourite album of the year. I think that will be pushing it. But it's quite different to the other stuff I've been listening to. And it's a debut from a band called Overmono. And it's their album Good Lies. And it's a single album, but it's the most splatter I think I've ever seen. That's like a proper sweat. It's like one of those things that I remember as a kid where you had a sort of like a turntable thing, you chucked paint on it and it spun round and created something like that. It's really quite interesting. Their brother, two brothers, wrote their names down here because I'm hopeless memory, Tom and Ed Russell, and they hail from Monmouth in Gwent, was the county town of Monmouthshire when it was called that. So it's in Wales, but only by a mile or two. So it's really on the sort of the border of England and Wales. And I believe Overmono refers to an area of Monmouth, probably something to do with the Mono River, I guess. So what are they like? Difficult to describe. It is electronic, it's DJ stuff, but it's in the sort of dubstep mode. And the band, if you know them, or DJ who's been around quite a long time, is Burial, and this is his second album called Untrue, which came out in 2007, I think, and it's very similar. It's difficult to describe, so I'll put it on and just play a few seconds of it, get away with. This was a Rough Trade exclusive, and it came with a little sort of, I've not seen one like this, like a sort of 3/4 size CD of a live stuff in June 2018. So 5 years before before their debut. So I haven't listened to it yet. I will get round to it. Been a bit busy. Moving on, the second album, so from a debut to very much not a debut, and that is The National's new release called First Two Pages of Frankenstein. And apparently Matt Berninger was sort of really suffering with sort of a bit of writer's block coming out of lockdowns and lots of other stuff going on. I apparently picked up Mary Shelley's Frankenstein to just read, and it somehow began to trigger the artistic process, which I believe is where the reference comes from. I think the sort of lead-off single has been on the radio a lot here in the UK anyway. It's called Eucalyptus, second track on the album, and I think, whilst the whole album is good, it's not my favourite. It will be up there towards the end of the year, but that track is probably the best track I've heard all this year, and it's got a few guest vocalists in there. So you've got Sufjan Stevens, Phoebe Bridgers appears on a couple of tracks, and Taylor Swift. It's very good, and it's I don't deliberately collect red, but I must have hundreds of. Well, I'm exaggerating there. I have a fair few red vinyl albums. I'm not quite sure why. Now, I saw a video posted yesterday. I think I watched it. Posted by Steve Carlson, who's one of my favourites of the vinyl community YouTubers, and he was talking about sales in the States of vinyl, and how people appear to be clearing their stock out. There's some amazing reductions on the way, and it's if you don't subscribe to Steve, do take a look. I'll post a link in the description. But anyway, he was talking about a fire sale, and my next two records are literally from a fire sale. Only in this case, it's the label Fire Records, who I've bought some stuff before. They do quite a good direct one, and I had the come and get me email with the big discounts on, and sure enough, I went and had a look, and I got a couple which are quite interesting. First one's not exactly brand new. I think it was released late last year, maybe November, December, but it completely passed me by. And to be honest with you, it's sort of not a band I'd heard of. And the band is called Fanella, and the album is called The Metallic Index. And Fanella, this is what got me interesting. Fanella is a side project of Jane Weaver. Sorry, name lost there. So Jane Weaver is, if you don't know, is a sort of indie pop singer, lovely voice, has produced lots of great records over the years. And here she is with a few other people, Jane Weaver, Peter Phillipson and Raz Ullah, doing electronic stuff. And it also sounds like there's some vintage synths in there somewhere as well. And Bardo's very last track, out of what we got here, 11 tracks, it's all instrumental. So Jane doesn't, despite being a vocalist, only does a vocal on the very last track, and it's a really interesting electronic, slightly ambient. If you're into that sort of stuff, it's not a long album. I mean, it's a single LP, but it's in 40. It's got 45 RPM. It's nice though. I really like it. It's different, unusual. Very pleased with it. My other one I bought in the fire sale is by Bardo Pond, and this is volume 3. So this is a new issue of an old recording. So Bardo Pond produced some self-titled stuff in the early 2000s. I think this was 2002, which were essentially jam sessions, which they released, self-produced CDs and released at the time. And Fire Records have been sort of reissuing some of these recently. And this was a fairly, I'm not sure whether it may have been released for Record Store Day, not sure. It's a double, and as I say, it's called Volume 3. I've actually already got Volume 1 and 2. So Bardo Pond, if you don't know them, they hail, dogs barking again. They hail from Philadelphia. It's a couple of brothers plus other bandmates, and they can be variously described as I've sort of seen them described as psych, drone, shoegaze, post rock, and it's sort of a bit of all of those things really. I should have turned my phone off. I've got dogs barking, notifications buzzing at me. Modern life. It really is all of those things, but it is quite scuzzy. It's very droney. It's mostly instrumental. So if you like that sort of post-rock drone, shoegazy, scuzzy stuff. It's really good. If you like bright, upbeat vocals, then it's not for you. So those were my new releases, even though they weren't all new. I mentioned when I did the last one of these at the beginning of May for April purchases that there were a couple of record store records that I'd ordered and hadn't come, so I'd pick them up now. And there are two of those, and the first is surprisingly, it's a 10-inch. This is literally the only 10-inch record I've ever seen, let alone have, and it's a double one, and it's a new, I think never been released before, so even though it's an old recording from 1979, it's Bill Nelson's Red Noise, live in Leicester in 1979. So Bill Nelson, of course, was Bebop Deluxe, for those who remember that back in the day, one of my favourite bands of the time. And when he disbanded Bebop, he sort of briefly had this other band called Red Noise, only for a year or two, and they're all sort of like dressed up and stuff. So to me, this is a bit of a curio. I never bought any Red Noise album. I think they only ever had one anyway, back at the time. But it's quite nice. I like it. Not the best live record I've got, but a decent showing. One which I really want. I've sort of been semi-collecting these, and this is a picture disc of Emerson, Lake and Palmer's Brain Salad Surgery, and they've issued for the last 3 years. They're sort of like 50th anniversary issues. So 2 years ago they did Tarkus. Last year they did Trilogy, and I bought them. As far as I can tell, they've never done the first album, which is one of my favourites of theirs. So hopefully they will. But this one is more crackly than the others. I mean, I know picture discs can suffer from that. It's not bad. It's okay. It's not distracting or anything. But whereas the others are pretty sound perfect, this one's got the odd crackle in it. So finally, and I'm not going to go into this at all because it's one I did a whole unboxing video of, but I'll just mention it in passing because it's the box set, the 50th anniversary, another 50th anniversary of Wishbone Ash's Argus. So if you're vaguely interested in that, check out my unboxing video. I won't say any more about it. So thanks for watching again. Cheers.